welcome to One on One. My name is Titilayo Oyinso, and it's a pleasure being right here with us again. We do what we can to go live as many times as we can on One to have important conversations. Now, to join the conversation, you can, of course, subscribe and follow at TT the Dynamite with the hashtag One on One with Titilayo Oyinso. And we're live on YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook simultaneously. You can also find us on all your podcast platforms anywhere in the world. If you would like to be on the show, possibly anytime soon, the email is scrolling across your screen right now. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. Now, preparing for high travel volumes is part of the process of planning for the passenger experience. Now, a recent advisory in preparation for high volumes of passengers in summer, which is coming very soon, by the Transportation Security Administration, that's the TSA, has guidance to passengers and learning points for airports. And we thought this was an important thing to discuss. And on this episode, we'll be talking with Mr. Ekelem Airhihien. He is going to be talking to us about how to prepare for travel volumes, and he's a trained mediator, chartered accountant, certified finance and IT consultant, certified in policy and public leadership, and an airport customer service specialist. Now, he has an MBA from Lagos Business School, and he's a member of ACI, Airport Non-Aeronautical Revenue Activities Committee, and of course is certified in design and implementation for KPI of airports. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you right here on the show on One, Mr. Ekelem.
Thank you very much.
We have to appreciate you for joining us. Most of the time, we understand that you have a very, very busy schedule, and it's really great that you were able to talk to us today on this really interesting topic. Give us a little bit of a background into how you developed interest in this field.
I've been in aviation now for about 20 years, and haven't traveled to various parts of the world as an aviator. That look, one area where I can make a difference is in the passenger experience, and it's very important even in Africa, for us in Africa, that the passenger is the king because he is the customer. Without the passengers, we wouldn't have an airport. And so I found that certification by ACI something worth having. Of course, there are other certifications and other trainings in the industry which I have gone through. But this gives me a lot to chew, as I would say, because it keeps you looking at the customer. What is important in being a customer experience specialist is to have that empathy that enables you be in the shoes of the customer. And a satisfied customer makes a difference to non-aeronautical revenue in an airport based on some survey that was carried out by the Airports Council International. So having a satisfied customer is very vital. And that's what took me into the certification.
I noted that you wrote quite an interesting article on this area in Business AM, and there was a lot to dissect from this particular article. But let me just jump in with this. With the high travel volumes that we're expecting to increase significantly over the next few months, how does your role as a customer experience specialist change during these periods? Because in the end, it's all about sure that the airports are not overloaded, if I'm right.
Well, getting prepared for heavy load is what's important. Like I said, the test of any operational process is in how it's able to withstand pressure in its peak period. So it's not about being overloaded. It's about capacity to be able to handle the load that you expect to have. And I think that's the basis of the TSA travel advisory. Look, we expect this period to have very high passenger volume. And so if we're going to have it, these are things that we expect from our passengers. And then we also expect you to know as you come to the airport. And that makes a difference because it helps ease anxiety in the heart and the mind of the traveler, and then adds to the passenger experience, helps towards having a positive passenger experience.
Now, there are some that would say that the experience in a Nigerian airport is we wouldn't like to call it a completely negative experience, but it's one that people have to prepare their minds for. It's one that is often filled with some sort of anxiety, not because they're worried about missing their flights, but because of the way they feel they might be treated by one, official or the other. Now, with high travels, we have to travel. We have to get on planes. We have to go for business meetings. We have to go for summer. And it feels like it's a place with those kind of anxieties that one cannot avoid. As a customer experience specialist, where can we begin to start mending these fences and changing this mindset of the general populace ports in Nigeria?
It's not just travel anxiety is not just limited to Nigeria. Travel anxiety is common to every traveler, and there are very many reasons for travel anxiety, and that's why when there is a peak period like this, travelers get this kind of advice, like we have from the TSA. The TSA is not a Nigerian thing. The TSA is a US thing, but yet it has global applicability because aviation is global. Aviation, the standards are set by ICAO and they are global. So everybody works towards the same standard. So anybody going to an airport, anywhere in the world, there will be very many reasons for anxiety. One person will not have all the reasons for anxiety. There are even those who have the fear of traveling. So where you have that, and that's where I talk about empathy on the path of the customer experience specialist. Everybody really in the aviation sector, both the airline, both will need to be able to see things from the perspective of the passenger. Because the whole reason why we are a business, we are in the world as aviation, is because of the passenger. So when we see it from the perspective of the passenger, we understand the fears and the anxiety. Then we improve on the passenger experience. We work towards having a positive experience for the passenger. So whatever is seen is global. It's not just a Nigerian thing. Whether you're traveling to Addis or you're traveling from, say, Barcelona to Bologna, travel anxiety.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about the experience that you've been able to provide. What sort of measures you personally take to ensure that you can put together a smooth, or let's say pleasant travel experience for the passenger, especially during times of high traffic? We know that there are limited waiting areas, limited limited gates at every airport in Nigeria. So what measures do you put in place to make sure that it's a lot?
No. When, like I said, the travel experience is a global thing. And when you look at the capacity of the airport you have, then and that's the whole basis of the TSA travel advisory. Look, each airport has its own capacity, each airport has its own technology it has deployed. So basically, when you talk about the passenger experience from the airport perspective, you look at what technology are you going to deploy? What technology do you have or not? Because you can't quickly change some of those things. And where does technology really passenger experience? That's one place where the experience is, and that's
It does seem like we've lost feed there. Hopefully he will do what he can to reconnect with us as soon as possible. It seems to be raining at this time in Lagos, Nigeria, and that might be the cause for disconnection. But today what we're talking about is very simple, and Mr. Ekelem is a trained mediator. He's a chartered accountant. He's a certified finance and IT consultant, certified in policy and public leadership, an airport customer experience specialist, and he has an MBA from the Lagos School. What we're trying to get to the bottom of is this issue of high travel volumes and that process of planning for the passenger experience. As a recent advisory in preparation for high volumes of passengers in summer by the TSA has guidance to passengers and, of course, learning points for airports. Put together an interesting article. I'll see if I can find a clip of that article to share with you, so that you understand why it was so important for us to discuss this today. It was in Business AM, and let me see if I can share this with you. Let's see. Let me download that. Let me see. All right, I think I have it. Okay. While he tries to reconnect, let's sort of go through the article. Let's see. Let's see if we can find it. Okay. Not sure if we found it yet. Okay, he's reconnected. Hello. Hello.
yes. Are you there now? Yes. Are we together?
Yes, fantastic. Yes, we are.
I
Yeah.
told you I don't speak for Nigerian airport. We are talking about the travel experience.
I understand.
So, and the travel
I
experience is global, right? That's why we are looking at the TSA advisory. The
sure.
TSA advisory, because travel standards are global. So we look at each and every one of us, both the traveler and the the airport community. I prefer to use the airport community. Airport community involves both the airport operator, both the airline, all those involved in making sure, even the taxis, the airport taxis, they are all part of the airport community. And they are part of making sure that your experience is a positive one. So it's not the airport. Experience is not just within it's the entire journey of customer. And so, and really, your anxiety begins even from home. You begin to wonder. I had to take an early morning flight from Barcelona to Bologna, and I was staying in Manresa. which is a bit far from Barcelona, join a train
Sure.
straight to Ressa, and then Barcelona, and then straight into my flight to Bologna. And that would have been one that's going through my mind. That was my first time of going by Air, a low-cost carrier, and I had to. There were some measures of anxiety. The person who was going with me was going from another airport and to Malta, Valletta Airport, and the person was carrying some olive oil, and thinking the person was still at home, and said, "Sorry, you can't put this on the flight." And she was like, "Why can't I?" They gave it to me as a gift, forbidden. It's not allowed. And those are some of the things that why some of those advisories from the TSA is important. That look, there are certain things that are forbidden, and don't take them from home, right? Understand them. Do your research before leaving your house. When you do your research, it lets you know what you should carry, what you should not carry. It gives you an idea too of the airport. Look at your ticket. What terminal would you be going from? Some people still miss their terminals and almost miss their flights because they didn't do their research properly. So do your research from home and then look at what terminal you would be going from. I mean, Heathrow, for instance, has very many terminals, and you need to know what terminal it should be. And so you know where, and then come to the airport on time. That's very important. Helps you navigate. So even if you came in through the wrong, if you came in, if you're coming timely enough, you will find that you will have enough time. And having enough time is very pays off too, both even at the airport, because you can even go to the lounges. There was a research where they found that, well, there was less anxiety by those who stayed in the lounge than those who did not. And I think that's because the lounges are a bit more comfortable compared to those who are not staying in the lounge. So, but if you didn't have enough time right from home, you didn't look at the traffic, you didn't anticipate, and then you're rushing in, you won't have the time, the rest of mind that I would say for the trip. And then if you know
It
that,
does seem, I'm so sorry to cut you. It does
okay,
seem that you're putting quite a lot of the responsibility when it comes to preparation for this whole process in the hands of the passengers. It does feel like you're saying a lot of responsibility lies with the passengers, a lot more than the airports. Are
you
you
know,
saying that airports have actually put everything in place adequately
the
all over the world?
no, the customer experience is about being in the shoes of the customer, of the passenger, of the
Okay.
traveler, and to understand that first, the traveler does have anxious moments. And so when the traveler begins to comes to your airport, especially when the number is, of course, you do research on passenger personas, uh, which allows you, makes it easier for you to be able to go into the shoes of those passengers. So it's not just it's on both sides, both the passenger and the airport. I was only trying to itemize that of the passenger. When it comes to the airport, the first, well, it's not just the airport operator. I told you it's an airport community. The airport is a community. There is a ground. Imagine the airport is beautiful. There's the ambience. Everything is what you have. But the car hire operator who brought you to the airport treats you very badly. No matter how comfortable it is, you will not be happy in your stay. That's why we say when we talk about customer experience, it's not just the airport, it's the whole community, the airport community. Yeah, the airport operator might drive it with the other members of the community, but it's a community thing. And that's what should be in the mind of everybody. Look, gentlemen, we are expecting large numbers, right? And so we need to be prepared. we need to understand that we have to be in their shoes. Like they say, the customer is always right, but then there are also limitations. You are not right when you, for instance, assault. You can see the TSA advisory that talked about please be polite. And then if you have to go to the extent of being unruly, there are laws. That's what the TSA advisory was saying. And it's everywhere. These things are at every country, these things are localized. There are localized versions of them. So you understand that, look, when you want to travel, it's a global thing. There are global standards. And so comport yourself, but then the community to understand the people. That's why there's a persona survey, so that you, even before they come, you know the type of people. The type of people that will use an airport in, say, Kanu may not be the same type of people you will have in, let's say, Port Harcourt. And then taking it across in Dakar, in Addis Ababa, than you will have in Valletta in Malta or Bologna in Italy, so, or Brussels. I mean, this travel season, you will find an interesting scenario. You want to book a ticket from Brussels, say Brussels, Zaventem. No, Brussels, one of them now, because there are two airports in Brussels. You might find yourself paying from Brussels to Bologna 200 euro. But on the return leg, because it's the opposite direction of traffic, you're paying about 35, 40 euro. So which means that the airport in Brussels will have to be properly prepared for the volume is taken, because the traffic is going from Brussels towards Italy and not the other way. So those are some of the things. So they are like in Brussels, we need to be properly prepared for the number. You see, when there is a surge, an increase in number, there is also an increase in expectations, the number of expectations you have to meet. So you have to yourself be prepared. So that's what the customer experience specialist does, goes into the shoes of the customer. First, by understanding in the airport you are in, the type of customers you have that use your airport, and then you mobilize the community, everyone, to say, gentlemen, these are the type of people we have, these are their expectations, and then this is how we meet them. And it is at that peak period, you know whether what you put on ground is working or not. If it collapses and you have a lot of feedback that gives you negative feedback, then you go back to the drawing board and you say, where did we miss it? What happened to our program, our customer experience program? And that's where the stakeholder consultation goes. It's not about blaming any member of the community, but it's about saying, okay, how do we re-strategize to be able to ensure that we get it right with the customer experience.
Thank you so much for that response. I'm just gonna say here, just for a little fun. I've actually always wanted to know what it looks like in the announcer room with whoever is on the microphone, ever announcing in an airport. And I actually think it's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because of that voice in the airport, because of the voice on TV, the weather woman, that's the meteorologist. They all work hand in hand and they all come together in such an interesting way. I'm not sure if in 2023 the announcer is still as effective as maybe having screens with indicator lights to see whether a flight has been delayed or a flight is on time or a flight has been cancelled. I know that they announce arrivals and departures, but I feel like maybe in 2023 there might be some other way for for announcements. There might be some new technology to make sure announcements are a little more accessible. Talk to
Well,
us.
in the airports I've been to, I think you, yes, the improvements in technology might enable the announcers to know more about flights on time, but really, information that they give out is usually relayed to them from various sources. They don't just generate the information themselves. And I mean, I was in Istanbul a few weeks ago, and it's still the same thing. You see both the visual and then the audio. So that gives you direction to the boarding gate, and then you go follow the signages, and then you get to your boarding gate. So I don't think technology has, why technology matters more has been more of the points of anxiety, the screening and so. Yes, announcement in some places might require, if you believe that the passenger feedback is not giving you what you want, then you look at where the issue is. I think that's the basic thing about any process at all. Any process where the passenger feedback says, hey, no, this feedback, I'm not getting value for it, then the community members go back to wherever it is. And of course, that's why they run surveys across all the functions in an airport to know exactly where the service quality is lagging behind, and that so they can then go ahead and make corrective measures.
I have to say thank you once again for joining us. And I know I've taken a little bit more time than was anticipated earlier on.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And the article was in Business AM newspaper and really interesting. I know it's available online. Am I correct in saying that your name, that's Ekelem Airhihien, is how we can find you on LinkedIn? Is that how we can
Sure.
find you on LinkedIn?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Of course, if
Yes.
you have any more questions for him, you can always use the comment section here, or you can use the comment section on whatever platform you are listening or watching us from today. I have to say a thank you to you once again, sir, for joining us on today's show.
Okay, thank you. So the customer experience is global. Like I
Mm,
said, it's not a Nigerianized thing. And the
sure.
TSA standard is a global standard. And
Mm.
people should always feel free to talk to their airport operator. Anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, they're always very friendly. Even in Nigeria here, because they are set to ensure that one gets good value for his coming to the airport. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your contribution.
Yeah.
All right. At this point, we have to wrap it up on this edition of One on One. Of course, you can join the conversation. I would really be interested in hearing what you think about what Mr. Arinye said today. Now, for those that didn't know who he was, let me just give you a little insight into what we were talking about. Now, Mr. Arinye is a trained mediator, chartered accountant, certified finance and IT consultant. He's also certified in policy and public leadership, and he is an airport customer experience specialist with an MBA from LBS, and is a member of the ACI Airport Non-Aeronautical Revenue Activities Committee. When it comes to KPI, that's key performance indexes for airports, this is the gentleman to speak with, and he will definitely be able to give you the advice you need moving forward. So, if you've ever been in doubt, based on the TSA, that's the Transport Security Administration guidelines for passengers, there are some learning points that you should check out as you prepare for the high travel volumes that will definitely be coming your way this summer. Yes, people are traveling again, even though post COVID, there are so many question marks about the amount of people traveling, whether the tourism sector is growing as fast as anticipated. There's a lot more advertising for travel agencies, different destinations, and even crew are advertising a lot more now because they're trying to rebuild that particular sector. And it's really interesting to note that even with all these anticipated high travel volumes, there is the TSA on keeping us on our toes and giving all the guidance for passengers and, of course, learning points to airports. All right, just in case you would like to be on the next edition of One on One, it's very easy. All you have to do is send us an email. That's dynamitepodcastnetwork@gmail.com, dynamitepodcastnetwork@gmail.com, or send us a DM. That's hashtag one on one with Titilayo Oyinso. That's the hashtag we need to see as you follow, subscribe, click the bell, and join the conversation on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and any podcast platform you are listening or watching us from. All right, then. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.